Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar Talking TIM, December 2020 and the last webinar of this series in this year. My name is Nilu Parvinashtiani and I'll be helping with the facilitation of the webinar today. So as you are probably familiar with this series, this webinar is sponsored by the Federal Highway Administration and hosted by the National Operations Center of Excellence, also known as NOCO. So if you don't know NOCO, please take a look at the NOCO useful links box that you see on the screen where you can connect with us to find resources that will help with the transportation system management and operations or TISMO topics. There's also a pod called Download Pod where you can download the PDF of the presentations today. This will be shown now and also at the end during Q&A. So the other logistical item for the webinar today, we are recording the webinar, and that along with the presentation slides will be shared on the on-demand learning section of the NOCO website. You are on the listen-only mode by default, but please use the question discussion pod like you're already using it for any comments or questions during the webinar. We have some time at the end for Q&A, and we'll go over each of the questions at that time. So that's all I had. With that, I'll hand it over to Paul.
Thanks, Nilo, and thanks again to the National Operations Center of Excellence for being such a great partner, and for helping us with this and walking us through a lot of this stuff. And welcome to all of you to the next to December's version of the Talking TIM webinar. As many of you know, it's generally, we hold this the fourth Wednesday of every month, but with the holidays coming, we thought we would make some adjustments here in December, but nonetheless, we have a good agenda for you, and we're very excited to have some of the presenters. And more importantly, Jim and I always get excited to see all our friends chiming in, saying hello there in the chat pod, some old friends, some new friends. Always great to hear everybody in this national TIM community chime in. So what's on the agenda today? Today we're going to have Dale Picha going to talk about his role in the role of the ITE, or Institute of Transportation Engineers, in the Executive Leadership Group, and that's our monthly segment of Meet the Executive Leadership Group. We think it's a good, valuable thing for you guys to know that there are senior managers meeting periodically, at least 4 times a year, to talk about how we can advance TIM across the nation from a senior executive level. We're going to have Pavle. Sorry, I'm going to butcher your name. Probably should have checked on your name. Bujanovic from our Turner Fairbanks office, and he's going to talk about the benefit cost tool for different TIM strategies that we've actually had available. I want to remind everyone that it's available, so we'll have a brief update on that and some next steps, but just wanted to make sure you realize that it's there. And then Marcus Slaughter is going to, from the Kansas City Scout Program. As you guys know, it's one of the premier TIM programs in the country, service patrols in the country. But they've also developed a pretty cool tool called JAWS for a safe removal of debris on the roadway. We know that's one of our most dangerous situations, is when people are out there trying to remove debris from a roadway, any roadway, never mind a high-speed roadway. And then we're going to have the famous Katie Belmore from HNTV talk about some opportunities to use the data that we provide every couple of weeks and to further enhance the training. The training is still a big deal with us, and we want to make sure that you have every tool at your disposal to see gaps in the training. Next month, we're going to look at we're going to have the International Association of Fire Chiefs. Chief Norris Crome is going to talk about the IAFC's role within the ELG and TIM in general. We're going to have Ashley Boucher talk about digital alerts and the pilots that they have going in St. Louis and Kansas City. And more importantly, we're going to start our 2-year effort over the next 2 years. We will be working on advancing Everyday Counts Next Generation TIM. And we've given you a little bit of overview. I don't know, you might want to go to our website and check it out. But there are various aspects to it, so we're going to continue enhancing the training, the data collection. There were previous EDC initiatives. We added a technology component with integrated CAD, UAS for TIM, digital alerts, and the data component, as well as we want to further integrate into the local communities. We want to further expand TIM, make sure there's a concerted effort on reaching those local communities. So there was summits we held last week. We had some good participation from throughout the country that came to our breakout sessions at the EDC summits, and we're looking forward to the next few years. And we're looking forward to partnering with you, each and every one of you. But what you can do now is make sure your state signs up for the initiative, and that's by reaching out to your EDC coordinator. We can provide you that information if you need to know who it is, but most of you can find it with a little bit of investigation, both as an EDC coordinator, both at the Federal Highway Division Office and with the DOT. So more to come on that. There's going to be a lot of cool information on next month's Talking TIM webinar with a unique format that we're going to be presenting as well. So with that, I'll hand it over to my partner in crime, Mr. Jim Ostrich, to give us an update on the TIM training and other things, I imagine.
Thanks, Paul, and thanks, Nilu, and everyone for joining week before Christmas here. Definitely another exciting webinar today, and as Paul said, next month. We work hard to bring you the latest and greatest, so I was really looking forward to today as well as all those coming in the future. So the slide here today, common, they're known by most, with 15 days left in the 2020, 46 responders. You can see the breakdown here. One thing I want to point out is this weekend in Oregon, I think it's Klamath with a K, Klamath County, Oregon, this number could have been much higher because there was a response to a crash, I believe, on Interstate 97 in Oregon, and tractor trailers approaching the scene, 2 of them. The first one, I believe, struck a squad vehicle, a patrol vehicle, and a fire truck. Then the second one, I believe, if I recall reading the story correctly, struck 3 more squad cars. Thankfully, no one was killed, but that could have been, some serious fatalities and or injuries, and, increase this number by several, more. Incredible, the first tractor trailer, just FYI, fled the scene. The second one stayed on scene. Obviously it was, and I failed to mention, it was icy, snowy out, but I haven't heard if they ever caught up or, got the first tractor trailer driver. And nearby, not too far away, there was another crash scene where an individual ran off the road, I believe, and crossed the median and hit another semi, I believe, head on, and he was deceased on scene. So just underscoring the point that, again, why we do what we do. Yeah, it's hard to be safe, especially out in really bad weather, ice and snow conditions. But regardless, it's one of these things that each and every one of us that are here, that's why we're fighting and doing the good work of promoting traffic incident management across the land. So just remember that always. The numbers, kudos to everyone. Virtual hug, virtual applause. For sure, this, 2 weeks ago, we hit that 500,000 mark, and there can't be enough said about the great work that all of you have done and continue to do now as we march towards the 1 million plus. And I'm very proud of you because the web-based training numbers continue to increase. You can see the total there, almost 91,000, and huge kudos to Steve Austin, Jack Sullivan, and Angela Barnett, and others who contribute to this, for sure, and of course the National Highway Institute and others. Here's a view of the map nationally. I've been deleting this out, but here I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot for 10 seconds. The web base, again, below the bottom number in parentheses. Keep going with the web-based. Paul and I will be reaching out to you and Katie here at some point about some information regarding train-to-trainer virtual and instructor-led virtual train-to-trainers and other instructor-led training. Here's the national implementation map or goal map of 45%. We're at 24 states. Half the nation just about has reached this goal or far exceeded it. And a big announcement here for everyone, and there'll be more to come on this, the fact that next week, if any of you are individuals who influence or actual folks that upload the data to the TIM training SharePoint site, we're taking it down next week because we're involved in a project to create an external website, a brand new external website, as you can see there on the second bullet there. And I think everyone will appreciate the new functionality, the new look and feel of it. And Katie and I have been working hard, and Paul and Joe, to make this change, and just great that it's happening. And like I said, there's going to be some new functionalities with it that folks will appreciate. The enhancement in the last bullet there for the CAPC for EMS and paramedics, and it'll also include in the future for law enforcement. I missed the bullet there, but lastly, the new fields regarding virtual training for both, for all disciplines, but the virtual training piece that is going to be ongoing here at least well into 21. So stay tuned for this because this is a big deal, and we're going to be doing more outreach and communications when we actually one of these webinars coming up, maybe a separate webinar. Lastly, there's our contact info, and as Paul said, we're really grateful to everything that you guys are doing, and so many others that aren't on with us, but very respectable attendance today at 127. And with that, I'll turn it back to Paul.
Thank you, Jim, and I just want to reiterate congratulations to the entire nation, everyone that's participated in that, reaching that 500,000 mark. It's quite an accomplishment, and but I also wanted to congratulate you, Jim. You've worked real hard. For those of you that don't know, many of you know that Jim, no one works harder than Jim and is more passionate on TIM and the training than Jim is, and he works like a dog every day to increase those numbers, trying to find different ways to increase those numbers. So really, Jim, a lot of kudos to you for for the tremendous work you've done to get to this milestone. And so our bosses are real nice to us. They we're all excited. We finally reached the 500,000 mark, and we were just under there for a few weeks, and we finally reached it. And the boss says, "Congratulations! Now get another 500,000." So. So we're off and running, and congratulations, Jim. And we're gonna, but we have just begun to fight, as they say, right? So our next speaker is Dale Picha from ITE. ITE is a new member within the last year or so, has joined the ELG. We thought that they were valuable. They have some valuable they can make some valuable contributions, and it's all part of our strategy to head and connect more efficiently with the local community. So Dale has been he's been a tremendous partner with us since he's joined the ELG, and actually we've called on him a few times for other things as well. So with that, Dale, if you could talk to us about the ITE.
Thank you, Paul. Jim, glad to be on, and good afternoon or good morning to everyone today, wherever you are. Certainly an honor to be talking to you today. I have some big shoes to fill from last month. If you heard Sheriff Wetzel or Linda Unruh's presentation last month on introductions to ELG members, they certainly gave some powerful statements on what they do to represent Sheriff's Association and towing industry. Mine will be a little bit less subdued than their presentation last month. ITE is something I've been involved in for many years. It's a professional organization of the Institute of Transportation Engineers, ITE it stands for. We are more broadly a community of transportation professionals that represents many people on this call today, traffic engineers, traffic operation professionals, private sector engineers and planners, and technologists and academia. So we're quite strong in the industry. We have about 16,000 members this year. Of course, as any organization, professional organization, as 2020 has been a challenging year for everybody. But our organization made up of 16,000 members in 78 countries, about equally split between public and private sector. Those public sector folks like myself, I work for the Texas DOT in San Antonio, Texas, and the public sector folks, folks that are involved in traffic engineering and traffic management center operations, and the folks that are working to help police, fire, towing, and others get their jobs done. And then of course we have about 10% in academia and other sectors. So we're growing. We've been growing the last few years and very healthy. We're very proud of that. We've got a lot of support. Our governance of ITE is through elected leadership. We have a president, vice president from our membership. We have a board of direction. I've been fortunate to represent the Texas district of ITE the last 3 years on the ITE board. You can see that map there. We also have our professional staff that actually runs the day-to-day operations of ITE. A CEO that's hired by the board and professional staff that's hired by the CEO. So Jeff Lindley may be on the call today. Jeff is my cohort in working with ELG and being involved in ELG this past year. The members of ITE, if you're a member of ITE, you know that a lot of what your involvement is through the numerous committees and councils that we have in the Institute to be involved in as a member volunteer. So ITE is really a wealth of information for those that are members or thinking about being members. We have a lot of leadership and technical resources available to them. Just some of the things that I'll list here: a monthly journal, numerous technical publications. We have an annual meeting every year that we move around. Sometimes it may leave the states, go to Canada or elsewhere. And I should point out that most of our membership, the 16,000, is North America. But we have really where members get the most out of ITE is at the local level with their local sections in their cities and towns, or at the state level with the districts. So we have a lot of council activities and committee activities. Two I highlight here that may be relevant to our TIM efforts. Our Public Agency Council, a lot of active leadership there with our public agency members, and also our Vision Zero initiative that's been active for the past few years to focus on the zero deaths on our highways. We put on a lot of webinars and podcasts to our members. We have a very active, and probably one of the largest benefits of being a member of ITE is our e-community forum. We have a lot of resources that we've put out this year thanks to our board and elected leadership on COVID-19. We offer certifications, and then lastly, and certainly not the least, is we recognize the future of our profession is in our younger members and students. So we engage we have a lot of active student chapters at our universities, and we do a lot of active outreach to high schools through our STEM efforts. So very proud of all the work that we do in this area. So really what ITE nuts and bolts for what we're talking about today in TIM, ITE plays largely the members of ITE play largely a behind-the-scenes role. We've been doing freeway incident management for 30 or 40 years in some shape or form, and our members are involved in developing those TMCs, building them, operating them, providing the data analysis and problem solving, safety analysis. We provide the leadership to get our local TIM groups together. Our members are probably leading the regular or monthly, quarterly, annual tabletop exercises in your areas. Hopefully they are. The TIM training, a lot of it is not done by our members, but actually the funding for TIM training is probably helped by our members. And a big area that I think, if IT members are not involved in this in your areas, your engineers, planners, but contract development, we're not the ones out on the road. Like I said, we're behind the scenes, but we're doing a lot of the legwork to get things like safety service patrol contracts together, and towing management contracts, using crowdsourced data contracts, all in the efforts of improving, safety and quick clearance on our highways. We're also involved in NPO coordination, and NPO is important because that's where a lot of funding comes from to help with our efforts to develop our highway infrastructure and our incident management tools. And then lastly, just the agreements sometimes that go into occupying space at the TMC, or agreements for towing contractors, or agreements with sheriff's offices to run safety service patrol. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that I'm proud that our members are involved in, and I hope we can continue to provide this service, to provide this to our members, or to our partners in TIM. One of the areas that we're really just now getting into and learning more about, and certainly we recognize there's a lot to learn about this, is arterial incident management. We've been, again, doing freeway incident management for a long time, but local arterials are a new tool or a new challenge for us, and there's more roadway networks, more roadway arterial networks, more crashes on these roadways. Thankfully, they're lower speeds, less severe crashes, but crashes nonetheless that create problems for the traveling public, and safety challenges for the first responders and towers. So, what are the quick clearance guidance for something like an arterial incident? There's certainly more alternate routes to use for arterial incidents, but certainly we can do more to learn more about where arterial incident management can take us. It's an emerging area for sure. The challenges are there may be even more jurisdictions, or I should say even more departments, local government departments involved in arterial incident management. Technology, some of our larger cities may already have a lot of technology deployed along these arterials, but you get beyond the large cities, we're not going to have a lot of technology on once you get off the freeway. So data becomes a big tool for us, being able to what kind of data do we need to help with our behind-the-scenes efforts, and then training, of course, is always ever needed for our folks. So with that, I will turn this back to Paul. This is my contact information. I work in what we say the greatest DOT in the country, in Texas, and I work in the greatest district or region of the Texas DOT in the San Antonio region. So again, thank you, Paul and Jim, Joe, Mark, for inviting us to be part of VLG. And this is our contact information, ITE, and as well as myself if anyone needs it. So thank you again.
Thank you, Dale. Nice job. Appreciate your partnership. And I don't know, there might have some people have something to say about your words about being the best DOT in the country. I don't know, and maybe some folks in Texas might argue with the San Antonio district as well. But
I'll stand by my word.
It's good by me. Good by me, my friend. Thanks very much, Dale. Appreciate it. So next up, I wanted to provide everyone a reminder. I think I fear that some of the states budgets are going to be hit hard over the next few years because of COVID and the impacts of COVID. I fear that that's going to happen. So I thought it'd be a good time to remind folks that a number of years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we developed a benefit cost tool for the different strategies for TIM. So I asked Pavle from our Turner Fairbanks Research Center to provide an overview. He works with the connected automated vehicles mostly, and this project in particular is sort of new to him. But he's sort of assumed it after someone else has. The original managers have left. So, but anyways, Pavle is going to give us sort of an overview, nothing in depth right now, but just remember as we start getting hit that we might need some benefit cost analysis, and this tool will allow you to do that. So with that, Pavle, if you don't mind taking it from here.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
All right. Great. Hi, everyone. So thank you so much for having me here today. Paul, Jim, and everyone, thanks for inviting me. It means a lot. So as Paul was saying, my name is Pavle Bujanovic. I am the Karma technical manager for the Karma Reliability Research Track. So if you haven't heard too much about Karma, basically what it is, it's a research platform that we're developing here as part of the Federal Highway Administration to develop cooperative driving automation strategies. So these driving strategies involve the cloud, involve the vehicle, it involves infrastructure, it involves pedestrians, and even connected vehicles that aren't self-driving. So for example, this could be a first responder vehicle in our case. And so as part of this reliability research track that I'm the technical manager for, I specifically focus on developing features that will help us in improving traffic and incident management strategies, work zone management strategies, and road weather management strategies. So as Paul was saying, today what I'd like to do is just give a brief reminder to you guys about a tool that was created here quite a few years ago, before I joined Federal Highway, actually 2 years ago. But we kind of want to remind you what that exists, tell you about some of its features, and then at the very end of the presentation, what I'd like to do is tell you just some work that we have going forward starting in early 2021 that we'll be doing to improve this tool even more. So with that, I guess we can go ahead and get started. Obviously, we, as part of the TIM community, we all understand incidents on highways and the fact that, and what they cause, they cause increased travel time, increased emissions, infrastructure damages, and we, as part of the TIM community, we exist, right, to keep our community safe, and our first responsibility is obviously to keep our responders safe, but after that, to keep the roadway safe, to clear it as quick as possible. And obviously, as Paul was saying, we have a problem because many of us will probably have our budgets hit in the coming years, especially due to COVID. And so we can't just invest into every single TIM strategy, and so we need to be able to effectively evaluate which TIM strategy is worth our investment. And so there's, back when this was being developed, there were already a number of different benefit cost tools that were developed. The problem with these tools that have been developed is the fact that they had a number of different methodologies that were being used, and therefore they produced a number of different results when we would evaluate it. And obviously, we don't have the kind of funds to necessarily use every single cost-benefit tool out there that exists and then decide which one we like best. So as a result, what we did is we decided, okay, let's develop a TIM BC tool that we're going to standardize it. So we're going to use some standardized methodologies. It's going to be universal. So we should be able to use it in each state and in each locality. It should be equitable, so it shouldn't be favoring one. It shouldn't have some internal bias for one TIM strategy over another one. And then lastly, it needs to be simple to use and not very data intensive, because we feel that that might turn away some people who otherwise would want to use such a tool. So we developed this tool, like I was saying, a few years ago, and at the time, it had 8 different TIM strategies that it incorporated. And we'll go through them in a moment. You'll see a screenshot of them, but they're written right here, starting with service safety patrol and the driver removal law and 6 other ones. And so our goal was to be able to consistently compare the benefits of various TIM strategies in many different scenarios. And so with that, we did develop this tool. It's currently available online, as Paul was saying. You can use this link down at the bottom to tell your engineers and your practitioners to go ahead and download it right now and use it. It's very easy to use. It's user-friendly. Actually, I believe I heard this morning from a coworker that the website is being maintained. So if you go there today and to download this and it doesn't work, come back maybe tomorrow or later this week, and it should be up and going, no problem. So as I was saying, it's user-friendly, and it's supposed to be able to help assist your engineers and your practitioners make decisions in terms of which TIM strategy is worth our investment. So with that, I'm just going to share a few quick screenshots of all of this actual tool. So when you open it up, it looks like this, and here you would actually select which TIM strategy you want to evaluate. So say hypothetically, we're interested in the safety service patrol, so you would click launch, and the very next screen here, you would start a new project or you would load an existing project. The great thing about the download, when you download the software, it comes with a few sample files. So if this is the first time that your engineers are going to use this, I would recommend they actually upload an existing project just to kind of get familiar with it, what these inputs look like, and how to evaluate it. So it's already done for them. They can just upload it and then study the results. But if they're actually doing it for their own area, then they would obviously start an existing project. And here they would actually just go through and put in some information about their location. So what state are you guys from? We wanted to have this tool adaptable to each state, number of segments in each that you guys are responsible for, and a few other questions. Then at the bottom, you also want to be able to put in your annual total program cost. So how much does it cost you to run your program and to run this particular TIM strategy? Now, if you don't necessarily know that, we have a tool to help you calculate that. So this is when you click on that calculate button, this is what it might look like, and here we would just take some input information from you to help you calculate your annual program cost. And so moving on from there, next what you would do is you would start putting your segment information in there. So this thing includes things such as your roadway geometry, your daily throughput, your expected number of incidents that you see each day on your roadways. And so that would be basically the end of your input stage. And after that, you're ready to actually see the output. And so here, the kind of outputs that we're going to see is the improvements that we're going to see is how much we had savings in delay in terms of hours, what were our fuel savings like, our secondary incidents prevented, and the emission savings. So here's just a screenshot of what they might look like for our sample project. Here, as you can see, all these different numbers that we're talking about. And down at the bottom, you have your benefit cost ratio. So what you would want to do is if you have a limited budget, obviously evaluate every single TIM strategy that you are interested in, and then consider the ones obviously with the higher benefit cost ratio.
Pavle, did we lose you?
Hello?
Back, okay.
Hello?
Yep.
Hello? Hey, sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. I guess I got hung up on, or maybe it was my phone or something. So sorry about that. So I'm not sure at what point I lost you guys. I hope you heard most of the slide. So I hope that, yeah, like you said, as I said, you heard most of it. At the end here, we're going to have a benefit cost ratio, and you can certainly produce a PDF report if you need to send it to your coworkers. So that's a brief summary of what we've done up until now. And starting in 2021, what we're going to be doing is actually kicking off a new project. We're going to be kicking off a new project to further improve this tool. So over the past few years, we've actually had I believe over 300 users that have used this tool for one reason or for either a little bit or a lot. And so we're going to be reaching out to some of these users, and we're going to be asking them to provide us input. What did they like? What didn't they like? What sorts of improvements could we make? And then we're going to be compiling all these and kind of developing a report for how we can further improve this tool. And then after that, we're actually going to go ahead and make these improvements. Perhaps we'll include some additional TIM strategies. And then after that, we're also going to make it open source. So right now, it's open source in the fact that it's available for you guys to use, but your engineers and your practitioners can't actually edit the code in here, can't actually change the way it works. So what we'll be doing is that we'll actually probably be putting it on GitHub, maybe some other website, but probably on GitHub, where actually you can download it and see inside the engine of what this thing looks like. And perhaps, you know, there's an assumption that we made that doesn't apply to your particular locality. So then your engineers can get in there and make the necessary change and make it more adaptable to your personal scenario. And then lastly, so that's what we're looking at here in early 2021, and then, you know, hopefully sometime in later 2021 or maybe 2022, the goal is that we'll actually start even improving this benefit cost tool to include some sort of cooperative driving automation strategies, like I was mentioning to you at the beginning, that are part of the Karma program. So that's a brief summary of this tool and what we'll be doing in the future. I think we may be reaching out to some of you guys to get your inputs on it if you've used it. If you have opinions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm definitely going to be interested in seeing how we can improve this tool. So yeah, if there's any questions, I can take them now, or feel free to email me.
Thanks, Pavle. Nice job. Look forward to having you take control of it. It's been sort of it's been active, but the manager had left it, although there was another manager taking his place. But glad you've been taking control of this situation. appreciate your help. And yeah, that's just a
thanks,
reminder
Paul.
with anybody, if you have questions, in the chat pod. I know most of you, may not have any questions, so that's fine. It's just if you do, and we're happy to hear from it. So next up is Marcus Slater from Kansas City Scout. For those of you that don't know, but most of you do know, that the Kansas City Scout program is one of the premier service patrols in the nation. It has been for many years. They do a lot of things very well, and Marcus is going to explain about that program for those of you that may not be aware of it. But it's one of the few programs in the country that is on the border. So it's Missouri and Kansas partner for the program. But with that, I think I'll stop talking and let Marcus do a much better job than me. So, Marcus, take it.
Oh, no. You were doing a great job. In fact, I could just rely on you. Well, as you said, I'm Marcus Slaughter, and I'm the Incident Management Coordinator with KC Scout. As he brought up, we are a 24/7, 365 TMC with 3 shifts, and we roughly have about 15 to 20 employees. That is the commonality. I'm sure most TMCs are 24/7 nowadays, but as was mentioned, we are by state, and that gives us a very unique, opportunity to partner with both DOTs to try to manage these highway incidents with law enforcement, fire, and of course media. It was launched, I believe, in 2004, and it was designed to try to mitigate or lessen some of the traffic congestion that we see, especially during our rush hour peaks and things like that, and of course our emergency response. We want to get out there as quickly as we possibly can, and having that well-qualified TMC that's been around for quite some time, we're able to do that relatively quickly and safely. All right. Now, as was mentioned in some of the previous slides, we do utilize a lot of technology and innovation to try to improve the safety and system reliability, whether it be the crowdsourcing with that real-time input from the drivers, or maybe traffic vision, where we get that digitally encoded video that streams real-time data for us. And of course, our event management receiver does the same thing. It receives that incident and location data from law enforcement and, of course, from traffic vision. And something that we're real proud of that we've been trying out in the last year or so is the real-time digital alerts. We have transponders in both the ER and the MAV units that can send those real-time alerts or warnings to the motors that are utilizing either the Haas or the Waze app. As you can see from this slide, we do have close to 400 CCTVs, about 170 dynamic message signs, and we also are still utilizing some ramp meters. As mentioned, since it is by state, the border goes from Colorado to Illinois. Now, we don't have our ER or MAV units out on or patrolling in those particular areas, but incidents that occur, on those corridors, I-70 especially, are, reported to the TMC so that we can try to manage the system from one end to the other. All right. Now, just some data from 2019. Our average incidents were roughly about 156, but as you know, we're getting into winter now, so you know what happens. That number does tend to spike. The total incidents for last year, we had about 58,000, and our average time to clear, it usually stays around 33 to 34 minutes out there. So we try to stay within that, and always we try to do better, but that's usually a good average for us from year to year. All right, there's just a pic of the trucks that we utilize. 3/4 ton trucks on both sides, both Missouri and Kansas. We are called the FSP trucks on the Missouri side, emergency response, ER, and on the Kansas side, we call them motorist assist or MAV units. Those are just some numbers. It shows the mileage we have, the employees we have, and the vehicles that we have out there. We do like using the dynamic message signs on there. We feel that they work extremely well, and I'm sure others would agree. And just about all of our trucks come equipped with a utility bed as well. All right, now we can get into JAWS. It's affectionately called that. As you can see, it's Julie's Automated Waste Removal System. Back in 2004, we had a emergency response or MAV operator that was picking up debris from a lane of traffic on a local interstate, I-435. She did have a backup, another truck there with her, but as you guys know, that's the one time when we take our eyes off traffic, when we reach over to pick up whatever is in that lane of traffic. And we try to keep our heads on the swivel. I'm sure a lot of you say that from time to time as well. Keep your head on the swivel when you're out there, but unfortunately, when you bend over, you do lose sight of traffic. Now, what this truck does, as you can see from the picture, it's a drop-down plate. Now, it's not a straight plate. It's not just at a 45-degree angle. It has about 3 bends in there so that it can kind of push and or scoop debris out of a lane of traffic. It's controlled from inside the truck with a joystick. You simply power it up, activate it, and begin using the joystick to drop it down. Now, when you do power it up, there is a forward-facing camera that pops up in the rearview mirror. We felt it best to put it in the rearview mirror because we wanted the driver's sight, the field of vision. We want his or her head up. We don't necessarily want them looking down or in the center console. We want them to still be able to visually see what's beside them, in front of them, and of course behind them. Now, once you line up and you've got it in sight, you can push that debris out of the side of the road or off to the side of the road without having to exit your vehicle. So it was a brainchild of mine back in 2016 when I took the job, because I was tasked with trying to find out how to keep our ER operators safe. Unfortunately, since 2004, we had been on a course, or we were seeing every 4 years where we were losing a DOT employee on the Missouri side. So 04, 08, and 012, we tragically lost one of our teammates. So when I got on board, one of the senior management leaders asked, to try to come up with something that could effectively keep our operators safe. Well, I came in one night in the TMC, and while I was in there, I was monitoring the cameras, and there was a debris call, and I lost sight of my guy picking up the debris. So that night, this is when I came up with the idea for JAWS. So it's real simple. It's just like an underbody plow for the DOTs that have snow. It's lightweight. We use a polycarbonate cutting edge, and it is located in front of the vehicle's front tires. And I'd like to tell you, on that cutting edge, we have recorded about 300,000 miles on the first JAWS unit now, and we still have the initial cutting edge. So I don't know what they put in it. It must be some NASA stuff, but that polycarbonate works really, really well. All right, there's just a picture of it. We had a chair in a lane of traffic, and as you see, the plate comes down, and we just pushed it out of the lane of traffic. We've also used it to remove debris from drain tops as well. We do seem to have some pretty heavy rainfalls in the summer months, and we just tried it to see if it would work, and it did relocate them really well because we built some float into the device so it can go over bridge joints, rumble strips, and things like that without snagging. All right, here's some more pictures of it. The inside, there's the joystick and the power switch beside it, the rearview mirror, which shows you the forward-facing camera, and just another picture of the plate coming down. So, as I said, it is a floating unit, which allows it to go over those bridge joints and things like that. And I got to tell you, the rearview mirror is a great idea, but we had it wrong at first. We had a rear-facing camera in there at first, and we couldn't understand why we kept missing the debris. So a lot of trial and error went into it with our general services team, but I think we came out with a pretty good product. All right, now here's a couple of videos to just kind of show JAWS in action. The first one here is from, I guess everyone can see that. I don't think I need to enlarge it, but this was a testing facility or the EVOC training facility for the Missouri State Highway Patrol. Now, as you can see from the front of the truck, you know, we are moving slow. I got to tell you this here. Let me give you some background. They had just gotten drones, and we were kind of the guinea pigs as well. Basically, we wanted to get some footage of the truck in action, and they wanted to see it in action up close as well. So that's why it's moving a little slow there. But as you can see, the plate has come down, and the operator is proceeding, you know, ahead to get the debris out of the lane of traffic. We were truly grateful for the Highway Patrol for extending the training ground to us to take this video. But as you can see, it was definitely slow motion for us at first because we just weren't used to the drones yet. All right, so here it comes. And this, as I said, was just the whole idea of it. We usually run about 20 miles per hour, 25, to push the debris out of the lane of traffic. We don't like to go too fast because, you know, if you hit something too hard, it'll just push it out of the lane. Once it comes up to it, and in this case, I believe it will be a skid, you simply just line it up using that camera, gets in that front scoop, takes it over to the shoulder. You see there, traverse the uneven pavement there. As I said, it's a built-in float on it. Now, once you get to the side, you can put the truck in reverse, back up, you know, give it a little bit, and then the debris comes out. Once it's out, you lift the front back up, pull back out into the lane of traffic. Absolutely no need whatsoever to be in a lane of traffic on foot. All right, let's see if we can get it to go back now. Uh-oh, looks like it froze up on me, guys.
Marcus, do you see an updated screen right now? I brought the other video up. I wasn't sure if you also wanted to show that, but that one completely was placed.
Okay.
I don't know if Paul, can you let us know what you're seeing right now?
Neela?
Yes.
This is Jim. Can I interject? While Marcus was speaking, what I saw, Marcus, was the video of the operation removing the tree, large tree branch or Christmas tree from the left shoulders over to the right. Now I'm looking at the white pickup on the track that you mentioned from Highway Patrol. That's what I'm seeing right now. I don't know what else everybody else is seeing, but I'm looking at a still shot of the pickup with the board up on the track.
Yeah, Jim, that's the same thing I'm seeing.
Okay. Did you copy that, Marcus? Hey, Marcus? Paul, did you see the video? Did everyone else see the video of the tree removal?
Yep. Yep.
Katie, I hear you, but I don't hear anybody else.
I know. I don't know where Paul is, so I was just trying to answer for you. And it looks like we got some people in the chat agreeing that they saw it as well.
Okay. Oh, so now we're back to the Adobe Connect, the web room, Nilu, and we see the share my screen. Marcus, are you back?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can. Did you hear what I said earlier?
Yes, I could hear you, but I couldn't. I was responding, but I guess you couldn't hear me. I apologize.
Oh, no worries, no worries. So we saw the great video of the JAWS unit removing the tree off the interstate. Okay, so it showed while you were speaking. Yeah, but that was great. And then we saw a still shot of the track with the pickup on the state police track that you mentioned. Yeah. But we saw the video. It sounds like everybody saw the video and how incredible this system is. So, if you want to proceed. Yeah, if that was the video that was showing, man, that was the second one that I was going to show. I'm sorry you didn't get to see the first one there. That actually it shows the truck hitting the skid, pushing it over to the shoulder, and then the driver backs up. The skid comes out. They lift the plate back up, and then they pull back onto the road there. The Christmas tree footage is pretty good. It was the first time that we actually used the JAWS device to clamp something. Now, we don't advise, clamping a lot of items with it because we don't want to break or tear anything up. But, trees have a tendency to try to roll and push around. So we thought if we could bite it, we could get it over to the side of the road there a little bit better. So I'm glad you guys got to see that. That was there on I-70 by the sports complex, both Royals and Chiefs there. Shout out to the Chiefs. But at any rate, I'm glad you guys did get to see that one there. Again, it was definitely a passion of ours, and we just wanted to try to figure out a way that we could, keep our guys and gals safe while they're out there trying to remove debris. So here's the benefits that you see. Saves lives. As I said, we did lose an employee back in 2004 picking up debris, so we know how dangerous it can be. We're not guessing that it's helpful. We know it is because we unfortunately lost one of our own. Traffic weaving is always a problem, especially when there's debris in the lane of traffic. Cars behind a semi moves over, the car doesn't see what's in front, and then at the last minute either they hit it or, they sideswipe another vehicle trying to miss it. So by only using the one vehicle, the one person, we save time, we save money. It definitely simplifies the work, and it's all about safety, right? Safety and reliability. And the reason that we did build the unit the way that we did with a drop-down plate, we still have to traverse medians and curves and things here in our area. So we needed something that's set up level with the lowest point of the vehicle, so the rear or the front pumpkin, so to speak. So that's why we built it the way that we did. But I'm truly grateful that you had me on, and here's my contact information. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I'll turn it back over. Yeah, Marcus. Paul, you're going to take it back, but real quick here, just telling Marcus there's a ton of questions and big interest, as we suspected, from our partners across the country in the chat pod. But I think Paul wants to continue on, and then we'll do Q&A and come back to these questions. Right, Paul? Paul, you there? Sure. You muted?
I'm not sure what happened to Paul, Jim. But I only need 10 minutes if we wanted to answer these questions from Marcus. It's up to you.
Well, there's going to be, Q&A for Dale Pike as well. Paul, are you there? Paul?
Are you there? You guys there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right, my phone died, that's all. Sorry.
Okay.
We probably could take a couple of questions on that right now. That, like Katie, you're going to still have enough time, right?
Yep, I have plenty of time.
Yeah. So everyone's looking for
a bunch of questions, Paul, in the chat pod.
Yeah. No, I've been watching. I didn't know that my phone had died. You have people looking for the specs, so Marcus, make him get something in return from some of these guys. Like Captain John Paul Cartier is a good friend of ours, Jim and mine, and Katie's in the program itself. But he has some interest in. But how did you guys procure it? Was it a procurement, or did you guys get the welders to put something together? How did you do this, Marcus? Exactly.
You know what? We actually made it the first units in-house fortunate enough just to have a general services department that is like-minded, and I took the ideal to the supervisor over there, and we cussed it and discussed it, and we worked on it back and forth for a few months, and finally came up with something that we could put together. We currently are outsourcing the production of these units. I think Owen Hassan is on the call. He's the traffic incident manager with MoDOT, and he generally coordinates all of that with the vendor and whatnot. But there is a vendor now that is starting to help produce these units for us. So we'll have about 10 of them statewide, hopefully by the end of this year.
Okay, so we can share that vendor with folks that are interested in prices and things like that. And of course, we know Owen, and I believe we can work with Owen as well. So
okay,
that's really cool. Yeah. What other questions do we have here, Jim? So I just had to comment, because even the taking a even when using the jaws, it's still horrifying to get that debris out of there, right? To move over, you're protected by the moving setup, and and it's still a horrifying and dangerous situation. So, but I just imagine if you had to try to get it out of there some other way, man, I tell you, it's a scary
it's like,
thing.
well, it's one of those moments where we lose sight, of traffic. We have to either turn our back or bend over or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, it's definitely a tense and scary moment.
Yeah, this is Jim again, Marcus. So I'm just going to, talk out loud real quick. I mean, I think it's awesome. That segment of roadway that you removed the tree reminded me of Montgomery County, Maryland, where there's a lot of curves, and there was a fair amount of, volume, traffic as that operator was handling that tree from left to right. And folks just don't, you had an arrow on, a right arrow, and he's trying to, or she's trying to move this debris, and folks typically, right, don't yield, and just keep coming. So I assume that maybe the DOTs put some signage up, debris removal ahead, on message boards upstream.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you do that. And maybe like a moving operation for striping and all, you need a second vehicle back shadowing you with who knows, a TMA and another arrow, trying to get people to slow down as well. So
yeah, you're right. In those real precarious or hairy locations like you speak of, you definitely have to have some more eyes behind you, in front of you, and even beside you. We do utilize the DMS boards to put those messages up. And like I mentioned before, we are using the Haas alert as well, and partnering with Waze so that drivers out there can get those real-time alerts. We have the transponders in our trucks, so it actually notifies them that one of our units are up ahead as well. So we try to use everything we possibly can to keep our guys and gals safe out there.
Yeah, boy, this is phenomenal.
Yeah, Marcus. Monique had asked, does it swivel in order to push the debris off the road to the side, or is it pretty much fixed?
No, it's pretty much straightforward. And it was hard to see in the video and pictures, but once the plate comes down, we have like 3 triangular-shaped points on either side of the jaws unit. And what that's there for is once we get it up in there, it can kind of pierce it. We have to move mattresses, right? We have to move gear from time to time, and sometimes you need something that kind of pokes or bites a little bit to ensure that it doesn't go from one side to the other. So, no, it doesn't swivel, but we did try to incorporate some daggers on the side, so to speak, so that we could kind of penetrate some of those harder to move over items.
Right. Excellent. So we, as Jim mentioned, we got a lot of interest here. So you might want to buy stock in the company. But no, that was. I don't see any other questions except for. I think I already know the answer. It was Captain Cartier asked, can you get larger debris? But I guess it's going to be restricted up to a certain limit for the larger debris.
Well, yeah, but I will tell you, we still push vehicles with this unit. The airbags, everything works just as it did from the factory, but we do have, rubber mounts on the front. So, I mean, we still have to push the occasional refrigerator or something like that there, but we didn't interfere with the pushing capabilities for the larger debris. But again, some items we do have to have a little bit more finesse with, but we try to push anything and everything that we can. We don't know what we don't know until we don't know it.
Yeah. Good point. Valid point. Yeah. Okay. And that just one comment on the beginning of your presentation. 156 incidents a day that you're working. That's a lot for a TMC. You guys are busy. Wow. It's man.
Yeah, and it's both states, so there's a lot coming in. But
both states, yeah.
Like I said, and that number, we love those days that we're at 156 when it snows, because then of course.
Yeah. All hands on deck when it snows like that. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I think. John Martin makes a point that the small debris is actually harder and more dangerous to remove. Yes. That's a good point, John.
I had another video, and like I said, we've taken so many of them over the years, but I have one where we're picking up a piece of 1x6 by 8 across a bridge there, on 435, actually in close proximity to where we lost our ER operator back in 2004. And that's the wonderful thing, as I was saying, having that plate bent in those 3 locations, for whatever reason, using that polycarbonate blade, it just kind of scoops it up in there. I would love to show all of them, but as you can see me in the video, I'll probably lock it up or mess something up. But he's absolutely right. The smaller debris does create some challenges, but the more we use it, the better we get at it.
Thank you. I see that Angela is yelling at me that they had a question. I don't think was it about the camera, Angela? I think Marcus, there was a camera on the front.
Yes.
Was that it? Okay.
And then we recessed it in, so as I said, we can still push semis and trucks and cars. It's kind of flush with the metal facing, and then we have the rubber mounts that go along the jaws unit. Like I said, it's real important to make sure it's forward facing, because I tell you, we thought we had it whipped the first time out, and we had bought a rear facing camera. So you should have saw us. We were like wearing those drunk 3D goggles trying to push debris out of the lane of traffic. We kept missing and couldn't figure out why we kept running over stuff. Well, we had a transverse view, but the forward facing camera really, really helps out.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for the information. As you're saying, this is everyone's excited about seeing this, and about the creative and innovation that we went through to do this important work. So hopefully we'll see it. Marcy Allen from our Federal Highway Montana Division is asking if we'll be providing a presentation. Yeah, all these webinars, Marcy, are recorded with the associated presentations. It does take a week or two sometimes to get up, so if you need it sooner than that, let us know and we can get it to you, Marcy. So. With that, I think might be time. Jim, do you want to?
Yeah, I just had another quick question. I think we have time for another quick one. I know you're going to send the specs, so on, but the unit, did you mention how much the unit that gets mounted weighs, Marcus? Do you know?
Yeah, we try to keep it around 400 pounds. We work within the specs of the trucks, and that's why we utilize.
And you're running minimum like 1 tons, or what size truck minimum do you need?
We're doing 3/4 tons, and it's just for the ease of use. You can put it on a 1 ton, but I also run a snowplow 24/7.
on my 1-ton truck. They tend to just, a lot of wind deflection, a lot of bouncing up and down because it's not affixed to the unit. So I usually put that on my 1-ton. But we found good success with the 3/4 tons, and we try to keep that unit around 400 pounds.
Wow, thank you. Well, kudos to you. This is a huge, this is a big deal, lifesaver as well as money and time. So,
well, thank you very much. It, sometimes I think ideals, everyone's ideals, we all have it in us, comes from necessity, and losing someone, every 4 years since 2004, when I came aboard over to KC Scout in 2016, I didn't want it to happen in 2016 because I knew all 3 of the previous employees. I'd worked with them side by side. So necessity brought this on, and I'm happy to say that in the Kansas City area, we haven't had any more fatalities with our guys and gals that work with us. So I can only hope that this has been a factor in that. But again, we just try to keep getting better with everything we do, whether it's through the MUTCD or innovation. So thanks a lot, and I, again, appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, sir. You just became famous, by the way, so get ready.
Uh-oh.
Jim, you want to introduce Katie?
Katie Belmore? Who's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Catherine Katie Belmore, the great from HNTB, extraordinary woman, professional engineer, in support of FHWA's traffic incident responder training, and so much more for Paul, myself, and Joe. So Katie's going to share with you some of the features that are part of the responder training statistics that we have been archiving for a long time, and just want you guys to be aware. And I think we shared this before, earlier, late last year, Paul and I and the team, but because this is so important, many of you on the call take advantage of the data that's there, but we can't emphasize this enough, and so feel strongly that we need to keep pushing and sharing that there's lots of data here, again, that you can use to strengthen your TIM programs, not just the training part, obviously is a big part of it, but just in general. So with that, Katie?
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for the introduction, and I just want to check. I assume you can see my screen fine right now?
We sure can. Okay.
And so I think I saw JP and I saw Angela on there, so I decided I would pull up Arizona, because what we're going to go through today is the level of information that we're providing in the state-specific reports. And we've been sending those out. We sent a batch out in September, and then we have a second batch to send out before the end of the year. And there is a ton of information, like Jim said, that we provided in these reports. And I know that sometimes it's easy to not dig into it or not necessarily recognize how much information is there. So I just wanted to take, and we just wanted to take 5 minutes today and just kind of go over what's there to make sure you guys see all the excellent information that you have. So like I said, this example is from Arizona, and this is the Excel spreadsheet that gets sent out. This first page should be pretty recognizable to you that see the national report. This table is basically the same. It's just looking at the specific details for Arizona. So it's going to look at by discipline how many people have attended Train the Trainer, the responder training, and then the web-based training. And then we also provide the total to be trained, right? And that's the goal that each state has established themselves of how many people they would like to train. So this is just kind of that high-level summary, and then at the bottom of the page, we just do a simple chart to show, you said how many people you wanted to train and how much progress you're making on each of those. So that's a pretty straightforward first page. The second page, and for Arizona, they've had so many classes, it's actually pages 2 and 3. We provide a summary of all the Train the Trainer sessions that have occurred in the state, but also where anybody from the state has attended. So this first one here was the first one that happened in Arizona. It was back in 2012. There were 70 people that attended, and then we are also reporting how many people from that class are using SharePoint and are actually training, right? So we have a record of them teaching the class. So you can see for this first one, 37% of the participants of a Train the Trainer actually went on, and we do like to caveat that they trained and reported it. So we don't know if someone went out and trained and never reported it. So we don't have that information, obviously. Then if you scroll down, you can see we held a class in 2015 in Las Vegas, and there happened to be 3 people from Arizona. So we make sure we're letting you know because those are Arizona trainers. So this should give you a pretty good summary of everybody, of all the classes where someone from your state attended. And then, excuse me, we also track how many of those people might be duplicates because we do sometimes have people attend more than one, which is fine if they feel they need that refresher. Then we sometimes have out-of-state or other types of trainers, and we record that. So you can see you've had 257 people attend Train the Trainers for Arizona, but there's 260 unique trainers. And then when we sent everything out recently, we tracked anytime someone said, you know, remove me from your list, I'm retired, maybe they didn't give a reason, or their email just got returned to us. So that's where we look at best case scenario, you probably have around 250 people in the state that are trainers. And I'll go on, we give a lot of detail for each individual trainer, and I'll get to that in a minute. So that's where all this information is coming from. And then a while back, we established these kind of what we call trainer lessons based on, or levels, excuse me, based on how many sessions people taught. So we kind of started out with a starter is between 1 and 9, a bronze is 10 to 24, and so on and so forth, up to a diamond. And that would be someone that's trained over 100 individual classes. And so you can see here in Arizona, we do have 1 platinum trainer, a gold trainer, and then lots of people have trained between 1 and 9. So again, I can show you where that data is coming from, but that was just something we did to help. And I know Arizona has taken off with this, and they give out awards to their trainers every year. So that's the second page. And then the fourth page is just a quick summary. In Arizona, they're always doing the 4-hour version, and it just gives kind of a breakdown of the training by year. And I don't think, and this is only for the in-person, this is only considering the responder training, not Train the Trainer or online. So I don't think anybody is surprised to see the huge dip in 2020 because most of that has been virtual if it's happening at all. And I think Jim mentioned as we're updating SharePoint, we are going to start tracking that, being able to track whether it's in-person and virtual, so we'll probably have to modify this a little bit. And then pages 5 and 6 just provide the information broke down by county. So for the first map, just gives you the number of sessions that have been taught in each county. So obviously Maricopa County has had the most. There's 149 classes taught there. And then the next one shows the number of individuals that have been trained. So it would line up that there's been, you know, the highest number would be Maricopa County, and that is almost 2,500 people have been trained there. So again, this is just a nice way to see where the training has been happening, and fortunately this is built into Excel, so we can't do as much editing to it as we would like, but it is really nice that it can kind of provide you that snapshot of where things are in your state. So the next tab I mentioned most of the information that gets reported on the summary page 2 and 3 comes from this trainers tab, and this provides the list of all the individuals that have attended your Train the Trainer classes, and it's just high level. It provides you know, the name, the agency, the phone number if we have it, the email, their primary discipline. Again, we don't always have all of this information for the older classes, but we've tried the best we can to give each state a comprehensive list of trainers. The date of the Train the Trainer class that they attended, and then whether or not they're active in SharePoint. The status, so this is where I had mentioned earlier, we're tracking over here just, you know, if someone asks to be removed. And we get this like when we send out the newsletter or mass information, these returned emails, right? So if someone gave an out of office and said they're no longer there or they've retired, and sometimes people do respond and say, please remove me for the list. And then we have this last one that's the delivery failure. So that's how we're able to populate the trainer status here. So those two kind of go hand in hand. And then the last thing is the number of sessions taught. So if we wanted to, you know, and all this data can be manipulated. So if you wanted to go back and recognize, I think Courtney is no longer with the program in Arizona, but she, excuse me, did a fabulous job and trained 77 classes. So again, since everything is has a filter on it, if you wanted to see who attended a specific class, you can pick that class, and you can filter out people with bad email addresses if you wanted to use this as a distribution list. So there's just a lot of good information here. Excuse me. And then the last couple tabs, this is just a direct copy of the information that's being stored in SharePoint. So these are the Train the Trainer classes. These are the responder training classes. This is just the data we need to create those two maps, and then here's all the web-based training. So again, I know it's a lot of information. Excuse me. That's why we created this README file at the beginning. So if you wanted to remember which each tab is, you have that kind of reference there. So with that, I don't know if there were any questions or if Paul, Jim, you had anything you wanted to add to that?
I would just say that, you know, as we're trying to, you know, if you're trying to sort through it and you know, and really find out where your weak areas are. I mean, it just there's so many opportunities there, and I know time is tough on folks, but even to have someone, a junior or an intern, go through and try to identify where the gaps are, I think that's helpful. There is a Paul Kristevich, from our good friend from Connecticut, asked a question. The status in SharePoint site.
So that would be, we're not tracking the responders in SharePoint, and that feature will actually be completely gone in the new website. So yeah, it would just be coordination with myself. If you wanted to, you know, when we send the report out, if you wanted to mark up people that you know are no longer active, you know, just update that tab and send it back to us. You know, you can update this column in here. And then we'll just make sure our records are the same. So that would, I think, mostly coordination just directly would work best, Paul.
John Martin / Sullivan. I don't know if it's John Martin or John Sullivan, but I think what's the next? Sullivan. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Martin's in there, but what?
Yeah.
The next
so
report?
we did a big batch of the state reports, and we're finishing up. So if you didn't get batch 1, you'll get the batch 2 that we're working on right now. I think that was the question. Yep.
Excellent. All right then. Well, of course, you guys know that if you have any other questions for Jim or me or Katie, anytime you can reach out if you think of something else. But I just think we could, there's an opportunity there to use those reports. I just wanted to mention Arizona, because we have a lot of people from Arizona on today. The Captain Cartier for one, Angela for another. Jeff King is on, and Jeff King told us that they've already voted in Arizona to work with the Next Gen TIM Everyday Count 6 initiative. They've already signed up to participate in that. And just to remind everybody, because I spoke about it early on, the ADC 6 Next Gen TIM initiative, allows Jim and I and Joe to get additional funding to help support the aspects of the initiative, with all kinds of workshops and webinars, or even state-focused webinars, peer exchanges, technical assistance. There's a lot we can do because we get the extra funding. But the more states that sign up, the more we can make the business case to get the funding. That's why we pushed you guys to make, maybe shake up the stick committee and the EDC coordinators to help on, making sure that everyone participates. So, Jim, did you have anything else you wanted to add in?
Yeah, I wanted to echo that, Paul, emphatically, because EDC 6 Next Gen TIM, as most of you know by now, I mean, it's, and it goes to the update that Katie just did on the training statistics tool, and just incredible amount of information there for you to take advantage of. But in terms of the local TIM, the Arterial TIM that you've been hearing us talk about, that NextGen TIM focuses on, we'd love for everybody to get those juices rolling and think about in your jurisdictions, whether you're in the metro or remote areas, all areas of your state. We're trying to expand TIM to all those areas, and the TIM training is going to be updated this coming year, and there's going to be some new modules, as Paul's mentioned several times, the past few webinars, for UAS and CAD and data collection, data sharing, the video sharing, and responder to vehicle alert systems and all those things. But it's important for all of us to be focusing on TIM, on arterial systems, versus the interstate freeways, high-speed facilities, which has been the primary focus. So the SharePoint site statistics, as you guys, I think, should know by now, but if you don't, are the opportunity that the data is broken out by counties. Katie may have hit on that. I had to take a call, so I may have missed it. I apologize, but there's just a ton of information there that, like Paul said, you can bring to bear to help you better understand where you might be a little light in terms of the training and just in general. And along with bringing in your more stakeholders from those regions to your TIM committees, whether statewide, regional, or what have you, because we know that's a huge best practice. Dale Picha's presentation earlier, I just wanted to say, Paul, I know we only have 2 minutes, in that in his last slide he shared how ITE has the mission, I guess, working with metropolitan planning organizations and other organizations across the state, but certainly MPOs, large and small, other organizations within the state. ITE is partnering with us, and we want to take advantage of the horsepower, if you will, that ITE has to help us spread the word of TIM, especially at the local and arterial level, as as I just said. So I hope that makes sense. Thanks, Paul.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you. So I guess we'll we have 1 minute to spare, so I will just on behalf of Jim and I and Joe and folks and Katie too, because she's part of our team. She's a contractor, but she's like one of the family with us. Want to wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday season, Merry Christmas, and any other holiday that you might enjoy. And we look forward to our next webinar with you in fourth Wednesday in January, back to our normal schedule. So really appreciate and honor the partnerships we have with most of you that are on that list today. And again, we'll see you on the new year, and happy holidays and happy new year. And we'll be talking to you, most of you, sooner rather than later anyway. So with that, we'll close it up, and thanks very much for your participation today.
To all our presenters, too. Great job.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Sorry about that. Forgot about them.
That's all right. Be safe, guys. God bless.